Hi everyone, it's Mimi. Welcome back to my channel. I am back to share with you guys some projects that I created using my yarn. I've been on a yarn kick lately, so I actually pulled out my knitting needles, which I haven't done in quite some time. And I was inspired by my friend Anna, who is Serenity Creations. She had shown in her this and that video that she had created some crocheted pouches. And believe me, I am not a crocheter. I can do a little bit here and there, but as far as speed and trying to complete a project, I've never completed a crocheted project. But for those of you that know me, I actually started knitting. Knitting was my very first craft that I had ever done. So enough rambling, let me go ahead and share with you guys the pouches that I made, and I will do a really quick tutorial at the end of this to share with you guys the knitting stitches if you want to give these a try. So here is the first one. These were all really quick to kind of whip up because I used a US 11. I don't know if you can see that. That's kind of etched on the wood. But it's US 11 and it's 8 millimeters. That's the knitting needle that I used. This is some chunky, thick, baby pink yarn that I believe I got this from Walmart. And because it's so thick, it makes a really substantial little pouch. This measures about 5.5 inches wide, and when it's closed, it's about 3 3/4. But of course, you can make these any size you want. For the closure, I did see if I could use a snap button, and I mean, it barely works. So you don't want to tug too hard because you'll probably end up ripping it out. But the snap did work because I didn't want to mess with buttons. The great thing about this design is that there's enough holes that you can basically create your own buttonhole. You don't have to actually use yarn and make one. I hope that makes sense. So I got this pattern off of a website. I just Googled it, and it was one of the first ones that popped up. So this is basically a broken rib stitch, and then up here for the flap is a seed stitch. So it's really cute. So I made this one, and then I also made this one. And look how bright this yellow is. This yarn actually I got from Dollar Tree. It's their really thick, I don't even know what type of yarn. I mean, it's definitely acrylic, but it's kind of harder to work with because if you put your needle through one of the strands, it kind of separates really easily. But it does make it really sturdy. So I think this one's pretty much the same size. It's about 5.5. This one's almost 4 inches. And then I did use a snap button on this one as well. So you can put little goodies inside. And of course the sides are all just woven in with the yarn. And I think they're so cute. You could also use it as a little cosmetic bag in your purse if you want. Now for the next two, these are a little bit more floppy. This is yarn that I got from Daiso, and it looks like this. I don't have any of the original packaging because when I got home, I like to roll all my yarn into balls because it's easier for me to work with. This is sort of like a chenille type of yarn. You can see how thick it is. So I used the same size needles, but look how much bigger these came out. And these are all like variegated, so that's why I really like them, and they're so super soft. So I think these took about a whole skein of the yarn. This is a whole one, so you see there's not a whole lot to this skein. I think for this one, this is like all I had left of it. But it's so super soft. So for this closure, I did use a button, and because it's more floppy, it was kind of easier to create a buttonhole. Like, let me show you. So all I really did was separate two of my stitches in the middle, and that's what I feed my button through when I close it. Like, I didn't create a separate like buttonhole. And this measures like almost 7 3/4 by 5. So this is like almost like a size of like a mini clutch. And it's so super soft. I love it. And then this one, I might have done less stitches. I think I reduced the stitches by at the most 4, but it could have only been like 3. But do you see the difference? It's not that much, but I wanted to see if I can get it a little bit smaller. So for this, I did use another snap button. This was even harder to get on than these, because the snap button kind of sinks in to the stitches, and there's so many like holes per se that I was afraid that it was going to come out. Like if you look right here, it's barely hanging on. So I might have to install a new bottom snap. So that's what I mean by not pulling so tight. But these kind of trained my hands again. A lot of times I can't knit for a very long time because my hands are not used to it, and I have slight carpal tunnel in my hands, so they get really fatigued. But those are my pouches. Let me know what you guys think. And before I show you really quick the tutorial of the basic stitches to create this, let me show you something I'm working on. I'm not quite done yet, but I used the other colors of the Dollar Tree yarn that I picked up, and I'm creating like a mini, well, sort of mini. It's supposed to be mini, but because I used such thick yarn and I used bigger needles, they came out bigger. So it's like a bunting. But isn't that so cute? And I love patterns where I don't have to continuously look at a pattern on a sheet, because I have a tendency to forget where I left off, even if I've just done it. So I'm constantly like pulling stitches out and redoing it. But this one will have the light pink, the yellow, the blue, and then the purple. These I've already weaved in the tail ends, but these have not been done yet. So I just wanted to share that with you really quickly, and I will share that finished project when I am completely done. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and use this yarn that I picked up from Daiso, and I will also be using size 11, the same size that I used for my projects, knitting needles. These are double pointed, but they don't have to be. What I'm going to do is the pattern that I saw, if I can find a link to it, I will link it down below, but it is super, super simple. Basically, you want to cast on an odd number of stitches. So her pattern called for 15 stitches to cast on, but some of them I actually only did either 11 or 13. So I will show you by just doing, let's do 5. Just a few stitches so that I can kind of show you what the pattern's like. So you can cast on any method that you want. This is how I've always casted on. This is how my mom taught me, so I don't cast on any differently. I don't even know what it's called, but I will go ahead and just cast on 5 stitches, and we will go on to stitching. Okay, here are my 5 starting stitches. You do want to leave a tail at the end so that you can weave the ends in and have it look seamless. So again, you just want to do a odd number of stitches to start off with, and it really is going to depend on the size needles you use as well as the type of yarn you use. So if you have a thinner yarn, I would cast on more stitches. So to start, you are just going to knit your very first row, and you don't want to make this super tight. Okay, so there is your first row done. And then the next row, you are going to start with a purl 1, knit 1, and do that all the way till the end. And you want to make sure that you end on a purl 1. So we are going to do purl 1, knit 1, and then repeat. Purl 1, knit 1, and then we are ending on a purl 1. And I know it's very difficult to kind of see the pattern on this type of yarn. And then you are going to repeat that until you get the length that you want. So remember that you have to double whatever you want your finished size to be. So like this one, like I said, it was almost 4 inches. So I did this broken rib for 8 inches, and then I went on to the flap. And the flap I did, and all these I didn't even measure it, I just eyeballed it. The flap is about 2.5 inches. So after you do your second row, which is starting with the purl 1, knit 1, to do the seed stitch up top, and I'm going to knit this first row just like we did for the broken rib. And then for row 2, you are going to reverse what you did for the broken rib. So for this one, we are going to start with knit 1, then purl 1, and repeat that all the way to the end, ending on a knit 1. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and we're ending on a knit 1. And that's how you do the seed stitch. And then you do that for however long you would like to do it. So like I said, mine was about 2.5 inches. And then you are just going to bind off all your stitches, and that's what this ending row is right here. And then you'll take your yarn needle or your darning needle and you'll do an overcast stitch up the side and up the other side, and then I finish it off by just weaving in all my tails. So I hope that was helpful for those of you who know how to knit. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys give this a try. Like I said, I think these took me about less than half an hour, and that's really good for me because I'm a slow crafter. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. Hopefully I will have more videos this week. I have just been really busy with work, and by the time I get home I don't have a lot of time to craft. So that's why last week was a little sparse on my channel. But welcome to all my new subscribers. I hope you love the content on my channel. I will be back probably in a couple days with another video. So I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I will see you guys real soon. Bye everyone.